So Lewis Crocker moved to 13-0 last night and defended his WBO European welterweight title for the first time, defeating the very game Deniz Ilbay. It was a very good, entertaining fight, good scrap. I'm going to break down a few things that I saw throughout the fight that I think Crocker needs to work on and what he did well. But the fight itself was entertaining. I felt the scorecards, possibly a little bit too wide, but I felt Terry O'Connor's was fair. Ilbay had his moments, especially hurting Crocker in round four, but Crocker was mostly in control. So Crocker had a lot of success throughout the fight, punching around the guard. A lot of his success was with hooks to the head, especially with the right hook around the guard to the head, and then the left hook to the body. This was due to Ilbay's head position. He leans forward, so his peripheral vision's not there. He's basically taken away and he's blinding himself, and he leaves a lot of room because of his elbow position to the rib cage. So he's open. He's because of the torso being so square and being right directly in front of his opponent. He throughout the fight was getting caught to the body. Crocker pulls the guard well. He did this throughout the fight. Ilbay's defensive mechanism is essentially using the gloves to take shots, but he's only defending the front portion of his face. Crocker uses a touch jab just to draw the attention, then pulls the backhand with his own backhand by pulling across diagonally, creating a space for the left hook. He did that throughout the fight and had major success with it. So there was a running theme throughout the fight, almost Chuckle Brother-esque, as Crocker would land, to me, to you. He would land his 2 or 3 punches, step off in a defensive posture in a straight line, draw into a defensive posture, and then allow Ilbay to come back with shots of his own. Not because Ilbay was doing anything great, just because Crocker was having lapses of concentration and possibly being lazy. Maybe he felt he was putting himself in a position to land something spectacular, maybe, but for me, he was giving away far too much and giving away, it was almost like charity to Ilbay. You want to dominate these fights, you want to control your opponent at every distance, and I felt like he was allowing him to come in far too easy. But what I did like about Crocker's work was the way he obliged when Ilbay gave him that rib cage. He ripped it beautifully, touch to the backhand, and then ripped it downstairs. A lot of fighters, they'll just wing shots in. I do like the touch of the backhand, a soft free, and then a hard one as he drops that free, that left hook to the body. That was lovely stuff. Would have liked to have seen some more combination punching. I would have liked to have seen the backhand uppercut. I would have liked to have seen that right uppercut left hook, because Ilbay's head and his position, his balance, his posture was going forward. So he was open for that right uppercut, and then the right uppercut left hook would have been lovely. But Crocker didn't really do that throughout the fight. He didn't throw that punch. He was more going with the free left hook and the 4 with the right hook. Body punching is a lost art, especially placement of punches. Far too often fighters are going for the rib cage. I like to teach go for the solar plex. Head for that midriff. Punch between the elbows, punch between the gloves, and he places it in there beautifully. Throughout the fight, he was landing on the rib cage. As I say, possibly may have maxed out on that because the brain sends signals and the fighter firms it. He's ready for it. But when you place it in places he's not expecting, it's going to hurt, especially in there. Absolutely sensational punch from Crocker. Let's have a look at it as they come back round. So he's got into his guard, touch, and then straight in. So he counters that left hook. And you see he was defensively responsible there as well. He had his right glove up. That was nicely done. An area of Lewis's game that definitely needs to improve is his defence. He uses quite a lot of techniques. So you'll see him at times, he'll go full guard, then he'll bend from the waist and he uses upper body movement and evasion techniques to get away from shots with his head. And then you'll see he'll use a shoulder roll. So here, he pivots into a shoulder roll, but it's not a good one. It's all over the place. He's off balance. He's not done the necessary work to do it. And now he's in trouble. But he's lucky that Ilbay isn't refined, doesn't really know what to do in here, and doesn't know how to control his posture, doesn't know how to control the head and to land the shots that other fighters would. He gets away with it there against better fighters, they're going to expose that. So you see here, instead of taking the outside angle and check hooking and punching that right glove and turning off of it, he doesn't. His body weight and his head are still neutral. His head's up in the air and he gets caught. On another night, he could have ended up on the seat of his pants and he could have had a 10-8 round against him. What he does tend to do as well, he tends to throw a check hook. Now, this is in one of the early rounds. It's between 1 to 3. As he's getting backed up, he loads up and he throws that check hook. He loads up on it big. And this is a problem because in round 4, he gets caught throwing that hook, but he throws it even wider. It's almost Danny Garcia-esque as he loads up. Ilbay, to be honest, wasn't throwing a lot of straight punches, but for once on the night, at that right time, he punches straight. A straight punch will always beat a wide punch. It will always get there first. That's the old adage. He punches on the inside of the shoulder. Crocker's shoulder's wide, and he's loaded up on it and ended up getting caught on the inside, hence why he got hurt. He did well to navigate those waters, and then the next round, in round 5, he got back on and started using his jab and trying to control the distance a bit more. But he has to be careful of throwing that check hook in that fashion. I do think Crocker has an issue with his feet. I do think that he needs to work on keeping his base at all times so he's in a position to counter punch, but also able to move effectively and change his tempo of his feet for defensive reasons and offensive ones. But you'll see here, he draws Ilbay into a defensive posture. He looks to control, which is nice. That he didn't do a lot of this throughout the fight. He didn't really use his jab as he should against a shorter fighter. But you'll see here, he's trying to control, he's trying to feel him out. Ilbay takes his head offline. And then that full rush, he gets back out and shifts back out at range. He needed to do more of that. He needs to learn how to fill the space a little bit more and be able to come back in. Be able to shift out, make Ilbay or these shorter fighters miss, but then be able to come back in and fill that space and land with counters. And you can see here, he's a little bit too slow off his back foot. You see how Ilbay comes in and he's caught. He should be able to control the distance with the lead hand. He's got to be a little bit quicker to shift out with the back foot and then be able to make fighters pay for lunging in like that. Far too easy for the shorter fighter. As I mentioned about the base, this is just something he needs to work on. He tends to come out of balance throughout the fight. Go back and watch it. When he gets hit, he ends up squaring up. I think this was the perfect fight for Crocker. I think it was a good learning experience and he came out of it well. The power possibly a little overstated. I think he's got good power, but he doesn't keep pressure on enough for fighters to wilt. On another night, I think in a rematch he could stop Ilbay, but he's got to learn how to put all these things together now and really tighten up his game. But definitely a good canvas to work with and an exciting prospect, or now contender.